Yeah. Well, I'll tell you when to start. I'm going to start it. So they give us like a structure, how we're supposed to present it. So it's going to seem a little structured. I'll try to make it seem like a story, but we'll see how it goes. Most of you probably know who I am, but you don't really know me. Would you say that's pretty accurate, right?
Yes.
Okay. Pretty accurate for sure. Okay. So I'm going to go, Steve. Okay, so my name is Ryan Rocca. I am 46 years old. I am divorced. I have no kids. I have 3 siblings. You probably noticed I'm kind of exotic looking, right? Okay, I bring a lot of diversity to this room, from what I can see. So yeah, my parents are a interracial couple. They got together in the 60s when it was not really that kosher. You know, it was kind of frowned upon. My grandparents actually did not want them together. And then I found out later I'm an IUD baby, so I think it's kind of a small miracle that I even exist. I probably shouldn't be here. My parents are both believers. I talked to them actually this weekend. They're both believers, but they never went to church with me at all. So I don't remember them ever coming to church with us. My grandparents always took us when we were little. We would get dressed up every Sunday. If we were good, we got $1. We got McDonald's afterwards every Sunday. And then if we memorized scripture, we could make extra money. So there was some incentive there. Even went to Bible camp a couple of summers. And yeah, went to Bible camp a couple of summers. And did this probably till I was about 12 or 13 years old. I honestly don't know what my relationship with Jesus was at that time. I was a believer, I think. But about 12 or 13 years old, I decided to become a proud atheist. So I was no longer a believer at all. That continued for 30 plus years. So I don't know exactly what happened. My grandpa died around that time. Parents got divorced. My older brother, this was the 80s, he started listening to his devil music. And so he strayed from the church. And then, I don't know, I just didn't go anymore and didn't make any sense to me. So I actually had a lot of people take me to church when I was in high school and as a young adult. A couple of my best friends were actually Mormons. So we would go to the Mormon dances once a month. You can meet cute girls, it was super cool. So we'd go to the Mormon dances, they'd take me to church, we'd have spiritual discussions. I'd always have the tough questions like, how did all the animals get along on the boat? Were dinosaurs on the boat? What happens to aliens show up? Things like that. But they could never convince me. We'd have discussions. It just didn't make any sense to me. So I just went along with that for however many odd years. I actually ended up in my early 30s marrying a believer. So I was with my ex-wife for 10 years and she was a believer. I went to church with her a number of times. We went all the time. Even had a church we really liked down in Temecula that we went to probably almost every Sunday. But it still didn't make sense to me. I watched everybody do worship and I was like, this is just weird. It just didn't make any sense to me at all. So obviously she's my ex-wife, so that didn't end up working out. We got divorced about 4 years ago, I think. 4 years ago. So we ended up getting divorced. It had nothing to do with my faith or anything like that. There was some other stuff that went down. But so we got divorced and I decided at that point, hey, you know what, I'm gonna better myself. I'm gonna get my revenge body, show her what she's missing, right? So I'm gonna work on that. I'm gonna get myself in good emotional shape, good mental shape. Financial shape took a while, obviously. Took a beating on that one. But I had zero for spiritual fitness. And I was actually really, really cool with that. So I probably went about 2 or 3 years like that, just living the earthly life, going through the motions. And I actually was really enjoying myself. It was going really well. And then probably, it was early last year. So I met a girl. It was an amazing lady. She had 2 wonderful girls. And this was probably, I think it was March last year. And immediately when I met her, I knew something was different. I knew she was in my life for a reason. And I don't think it was just to learn about Crave cookies. So, so it's kind of funny because we're probably dating for about 2 weeks, I would think, and I'm just sitting on our couch and I'm looking at the walls and there's all this scripture and all this Jesus stuff on the walls, and I was like, oh no, she's a Jesus freak. I was like, what am I going to do? I had two choices. I could either not tell her at all and enjoy it for as long as I could, or I could do the right thing and tell her and probably watch it implode. So that's what I did, is I told her I was not a believer. I figured we were just going to be done for, and that was not the case. For some reason, she decided to keep me around, and actually she decided to invite me to church, which was kind of an unusual move. I think it was Easter service, I believe. And I know now it was God working on me through her. There was reasons that I was kept around. So I started going to church with her. It probably went on for 2 or 3 months. And then it's funny, little things would happen along the lines, and she would say, oh, it's a miracle, or God's at work. And I would just say, nah, it's a coincidence, it's just stuff that happens, right? And then every once in a while she'd ask me, well, do you think you could maybe give this a shot, or you think there's a chance you could believe? And I'd always tell her, no, it's a tough ask. I don't think it's going to happen. And so this continued to go on for 2 or 3 months, and what I found out later is that she had been praying for me. Her girls had been praying for me. Her parents had been praying for me. All her friends had been praying for me. And yeah, so I call them the purr bullies because they all ganged up on me. Yeah, so they were all praying for me, and it's so cute. She had a little girl. She was 9 years old at the time, and she'd always take me to the welcome center at church, where you get all the free gifts and stuff like that. So she kept taking me. It's kind of like our thing. So she'd take me and I'd get free stuff, like I'd get a cup or a shirt or whatever. And then finally, on the third visit, I got a Bible. And then she asked me another time, well, you think you can give this a shot? And the door opened just a tiny bit. I was like, I'll keep an open mind. And that's really kind of all it took. So I started reading the Bible. I'd hear the worship songs. I'd actually start to sway a little bit. I'd be like, oh, this song's actually not too bad. This song's okay, right? And then I started to pray. So it's like, I wasn't a believer yet, but I was like, you know what? I'll just put it out there. Hey, Jesus, if you're out there, give me a sign, talk to me, tell me what I'm supposed to do. Nothing, right? So I was like, all right, well, I kept doing it. I kept reading, kept learning, kept going to church. And then I think about 2 or 3 months later, she had kind of a crisis of faith. I think she had, I don't know exactly. I have some theories, but it's okay. I'm going to leave them out for now. But anyway, she had a crisis of faith, and she understood, hey, you know what, I shouldn't be with this guy. He's not a believer. It's not right? Isn't that how it works? I've read that. So, so that was over. And then at first I thought, I'm a problem solver. I'll get it figured out, right? So it's like I started reading the scripture that night. I was like, oh no, we're done for. So it didn't look good. So actually, I don't ever call in sick for work or very rarely, but I ended up calling sick a couple of days at work. I couldn't sleep, and so I decided to go to Millerton at 6 a.m. on a Friday morning when it was dark, and I swam across the lake. I didn't have a wetsuit, no buoy, no cap. I did have trunks. I'm not a total savage. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure I Garmined it. So yeah, so it's on Strava somewhere. So I swam across the lake. I don't know exactly what I was looking for, if I was looking for a sign, or if I was just looking for a boat to hit me and put me out of my misery. I really don't know. I'm not suicidal, but it could have happened. Who knows? But I got out there, I got back, no sign whatsoever. Am I doing on time? Oh, I'm going way over.
It's all right.
So anyways, I got back, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go home. And it's funny because I always told her, hey, if I win the lottery, I'll believe in God, trying to negotiate with God. And I know it doesn't work that way, but I said it anyway. So I went to the Shell station there in Friant, and I bought a lottery ticket. I didn't win. But I turned around, and there's this guy with this mullet on, and he had this reflective vest on, this kid. And he had the biggest cross I ever saw in my life. And it's going to get bigger every time I tell the story. It was like Mr. T, basically. He had a humongous cross on that he's wearing, and I just did a double take like that, looking at it. And I was like, okay, that was super weird. I'm going to go home. And I just thought it was really weird just because I was kind of looking for a sign, and that's what happened. So I went home, and then later that day, I got my van, and I turned on, well, I said, okay, Jesus, if you're out there, give me a sign. And I turned on the radio, and out of all the thousands of songs that could come on, it was Freebird from Leonard Skinner. The part that says, Lord knows I can't change. I can't sing it, so. But anyways, that song came on, and I don't know if that was a sign from the good guys or a sign from the enemy telling me that I shouldn't change. So, but either way, I ended up going home, and I was just sitting in my kitchen, kind of freaking out, and just looking at all these little signs that happened up until then, the things that were miracles that I kind of pushed off until then. And I was just sitting in my kitchen, and I was like, oh shit, this is real. Sorry, pardon my French, but that's exactly what I thought. So I actually ended up accepting Jesus privately into my heart right there in that kitchen that day. And then I started going to Clovis Hills, I think shortly after that. And the pastor there always says, if you believe it in your heart and you confess it with your mouth, it's transformative, right? It transforms you. So I knew from my reading and from how he had talked, I had to go public with my faith. I don't know if my family or friends were going to shun me or whatnot, but I think 3 or 4 weeks later, I raised my hand in church, Clovis Hills. I got my light bulb and I got another Bible. So now I'm stacking them up, right? So yeah, I raised my hand there at church. Oh dang it, I'm way over. So anyways, since then, so I've been working on my faith obviously since then and trying to grow in my relationship with Christ. So I have continued my readings obviously. Daily prayer obviously a big part of it. I got a Bible study that I really enjoy. A bunch of Christian athletes, pretty cool. And then it's weird because initially my journey, I thought, hey, it should be a private journey, right? I should have an individual relationship with Christ. I thought it should work that way. And then the more I learn, obviously, I find out, we're all one body, right? So I was like, I found a good group at church to go with. I got a nice group of brothers there, so that's super awesome. So we're forming some good bonds there. And then I got baptized August? Yeah, August or September. So it's been really good, and just looking for opportunities to serve and things like that. So yeah. So anyways, that's my testimony. I think it's actually pretty good story. It's a real testament to the power of prayer. I think if I can be saved, pretty much anybody can. And God doesn't care where you're at; He just cares where you're going. So. That's it. 2.5 over. Wow. And I burned 56 calories talking. All right. So
I done some squats or something.
I could have done some squats.
There you go.
I'll save it. I'll put on straw.
I think it's interesting.
There you go, testimony time.
There you go.
That's why I read.
The power.
Yeah, I was the same place. Yeah. So I got to figure out. So I got to figure out some places to cut the fat.
The power of
That was a
prayer, I think, is
fantastic-
really.
That was really